Hey, good morning, everyone. February 23rd at 9:04. This is the Planning Advisory Board, and we are in budget review. I'd like to call the meeting to order. The first on our agenda is to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda is approved. The next is approval of our minutes from February 16th. Hopefully everybody's reviewed. Are there any changes? No? Motion to approve the minutes?
Chair, I move we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The minutes are approved. So with that, I will turn the floor over to Naomi, and we'll start our budget deliberations.
Good morning. Hope everyone is bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. We have a lot to cover today. But as many of you know, we do have a process that we go through that helps us kind of move a little more quickly through the material and make it a little more consumable. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. Okay.
And while
Okay.
she's doing that, there's two chats. Is that to us or is she putting like what she did before to find the pages and all that?
Oh, yeah, it was just, Naomi.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
Audio.
Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi.
Okay. So I thought I would kind of just start with an overview really quick. As you know, you've seen all the departments with their fiscal year 25 capital budget requests and their program asks. And I thought I would just start with the summary sheet here. You can see that we've got the general county fund, the solid waste, the utility, and WPRF. Our focus here today is going to be on the general fund and these project classes. Our big task for today, bear with me, boop, is to, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and it's an Excel spreadsheet?
Yes.
Yes.
It's not?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay, just checking. I've messed it up before, so I thought I would double check. So just to start, in looking at the general county fund, if you recall this screen, it's the affordability comparison. And what it does is it looks at the bonds and pay-go and the county's affordability for the budget and capital program. As you recall, we started out with 160 million in bonds, and then we had slightly increased it to 170. I did want to share with you that Huja has kind of tweaked his revenue numbers, and he says that there's a 10 million more available in pay-go, which is great. So what that does for us, if we move down here, is if you recall correctly, this number here was $515 million, and that was the number that we needed to take a look at today and get down to zero, or as close to it, or maybe even under if possible. So instead of starting at 515 million this year, we're going to start at 505, which is great. And like I said, so that's our task for today, is to go through the capital budget and program general fund and get this number down to zero. And so for those that are new or don't recall the process, I have my fancy dancy little spreadsheet here. And with it, in the essence of time, I have a methodology that I go through to try and address some of the lower hanging fruit changes that we can take a look at. So the goal is to try and keep projects that are already approved in the pipeline. So then the question becomes, well, what do we take a look at? Well, some of the things we take a look at are out-year, multi-year capital projects. So like the park renovations or the county facility and repair. And we take a look at the out-year requests and we bring them down to fiscal year 24 approved plan. So we address the fiscal year 26 through 30 timeframe and bring those multi-year recurring capital projects down to plan just to start. The other thing we do is we take a look at new capital projects. And you can see here, I've kind of pre-populated some of them. The only reason I did this is, again, the essence of time. It's easier for me to delete some rows, then sit there and manually enter in all the capital projects. So this spreadsheet has been pre-populated with those types of things. You can see here, we're starting with the general county class. That's on page 62 in the overview section, and it's on page 1 of the one pager. And so these are the general county classes, and I've kind of gone through that exercise. But usually what we do is we start with the component units. As many of you know, the Oversight Committee reviews the capital budget and program requests, but they do not make any modifications to the requests with regard to the component units. So this is usually where we start, because the first culling process has not occurred yet. That usually starts with PAB. And so with the Board of Education, I broke it out into 2 chunks. We have the multi-year capital projects, and then we have the schools. And then of course we have community college and library. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with multi-year, so we get an idea of how this process works. Boop, boop. And you can see here on this first section, we have a new capital project, the sustainability initiatives. And what this does here is it removes the request from affordability. And then it adds back the approved budget. And because this is a new capital project, there's nothing in there. So what this in essence is doing is it is taking $12 million of bonds out of that request. So that 505 has now gone down by $12 million. And so I have entered these in here so that we can review and discuss the capital projects, and you can see as to whether those are the projects you feel that you should recommend and move forward with, or we can remove them. Moving just a little further down the screen, I take a look at all of the recurring capital projects. You can see here we got security related upgrades. They were looking for $2 million in bonds in fiscal year 25 and the out years. And what this has done is it's taken that request out and it's brought it back to fiscal year 24 approved plan numbers. And so you can see that I just go kind of down through all of these. So I thought we could start with the Board of Education, the multi-year recurring capital projects. And if you concur with the way this is presented, I will leave it. If you feel that you want to move forward with sustainability initiatives for $2 million, what I'll do is I'll delete this and it'll actually put it back in the program. Okay, so the sustainability initiatives, that's our first look at today. This is a new capital project for the Board of Education. I'm going to pull up the one pager on my screen just so I can speak to it a little here, refresh my memory, because there are 500 capital projects. Let's see here. Variety of new capital projects that include upgrades to building automation systems, lighting retrofits, solar panel installations, and other things that improve energy efficiency. So, oops. So what I would ask is this something that the board recommends? Or do you want it, because it's a new capital project, would you like it removed at this time? And we could circle back into it if we have funding toward the end. Or another possibility is you just fund fiscal year 25 and you make it one of those capital projects that you review and look at on an annual basis.
If I could share, and so we're gonna share so we can also see our one pager here. I would like to keep it in for now and see some of the other projects. I mean, for 2 million and the benefits that it's going to, the trickle down over the years that will have for the school system. I think I'd like to keep it for now.
Okay.
Certainly open that to the discussion.
I have it written down as priority number 9 as in their list. So that's, we definitely need to look at that because it was not one of their top priorities. And if we can just keep going, I can just keep going. I'm the same with the school bus facility lot. they're looking at a feasibility study, but they don't have property yet. So there's no, I would definitely take out the 9 million for 26. And maybe keep the one for feasibility, but it's hard to do a feasibility study when you don't know where it's gonna be.
Right, right.
Well-
We actually
you go
cover that
right
a
underneath
little
it?
later on, but I believe David Braun has something to add on that.
Yeah, they actually do have a site identified. They're working on the contractor agreement for purchase now. So just from that angle, they do have a site identified. So by FY 25, we would be ready to do a feasibility study.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And David, question, the $10 million on that project was just for the construction, but not for the purchase of the land, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
That funding is
So-
associated in advanced land capital project in the general county class. It's C 1067.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to circle back to sustainability initiatives, would you like me to remove that? Or keep it, or keep 1 year?
Keep it for 1 year now.
Why don't we keep it for 1 year?
Okay, perfect. And you can see here, we're adding back $2 million. The total cut is no longer 12 million, it's just 10 million. The next recurring capital project that they've requested is this Board of Education project and program planning for $300,000 a year.
Oh,
The third one.
and I made a note that this was a revolving fund project. I'm not sure why and what that means, but.
I'm not sure I understand that. It is a multi-year recurring capital project, so they'd like to make sure that this project doesn't disappear after a few years, that it stays in the program, like, security related upgrades and things like that. Maybe that's
That's what it was. Thank you.
okay. Yeah, so they're requesting to this to be a new recurring capital project. And it basically will be reimbursed when capital projects actually come online. So it will constantly be replenished. Is this something you would like to remove or hold on to or provide 1 year funding?
I don't think providing 1 year funding is the goal. The goal was to keep it
Mhm.
in there so that they
Correct.
have it.
Yeah, I'm just providing the
Yeah,
option.
no, I understand. I'm just, it seems like that's kind of a catch-all.
I think remove the whole thing,
It's a catch-all pot of money.
I guess when I read what it's about, it seems to me this must be happening somewhere already, right? I mean, so why is this a new
Yeah.
thing? They
Yes.
are, I mean,
It is being performed in some capacity elsewhere. It may actually be residing with the capital project. So it sounds like, say you're planning a project for a new school and you just don't have all the details yet. They want to be able to, and maybe David can
Right.
clarify if I'm leading off the path here, but they want to be able to have a capital project that they can turn to do that. When that capital project actually comes online, they'll take money from the capital project and reimburse this one so that there is funding continually kind of going back into it. That was my understanding of it. Yeah.
so they're doing a restructuring,
But those projects are reviewed every year and their costs are adjusted. And that's where this can be taken into consideration. I don't think you need a line item just for that.
It's not much. I would take it out.
Okay, well, maybe we'll leave it as a cut for now. And what we'll do is, once we go through this, we'll go back and we'll move much quicker just to make sure that once you've seen it, everything from 40,000 feet, you may go, oh, no, we actually really can't afford that one at this time. Okay, so we'll leave that one cut for now. The next one is all day K and pre-K. This was a capital project that was supposed to come to a conclusion. And based on the need and the pre-kindergarten, the need for pre-kindergarten in buildings and facilities, they've asked to kind of put this back online again, starting in fiscal year 27. They're looking for $5 million a year.
They're talking about is redesigning the elementary schools to have kindergarten and pre-K rooms.
So,
This is something that
Okay.
they can come back next year and present it again, because from a legislative standpoint, the only appropriation is going to be fiscal year 25. Those are the funds, the only funds that they will have access to. This is just planning all these out years here. So
yeah.
in theory, they could come back next year and say, you know, this was we
Yeah,
brought this to your
okay,
attention
yeah.
last year. It's still a priority of ours. That kind of thing.
Cut it
Yeah,
out.
then keep it cut.
Okay. Security related upgrades. They were requesting $2 million a year, and it looks like the plan is 500,000.
Yeah,
Bring it back to plan.
Yes.
yes.
Building systems and renovations. Now, this is one that has a tremendous amount of state funding tied to it. So what I did here was I actually gave them their full request in fiscal year 25, but I brought the out years down to plan.
Good.
It's one of those things we review every year when the state comes out with the funding that they're providing the Board of Education on their schools. So
Okay, sounds good.
maintenance backlog. They requested 7 million a year. I brought it back down to plan at 3.65 million.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
Roof replacement, requesting 4 million a year, brought it back down to plan to 2 million a year.
Yep.
Okay,
Relocatable classrooms. So now this is a slightly different recurring capital project. This is one that we look at every single year and determine the current year value that we want to provide. Plan does not budget in the out years for this one. So they were requesting $1.2 million a year. Last year, this capital project received $600,000 in funding. And again, the out years were brought to plan, which was 0. So the question becomes, do you want to fund this capital project? If so, what dollar amount? And like I said, I just provided the 600,000 as a guideline, just a reference point for you to know what it was last year.
Naomi, my comment would be they're in the middle of redistricting. And with proper redistricting, hopefully they can eliminate all relocatable classrooms. So that 600,000, would that be to create new classrooms or maintain ones that are existing?
Let me check here.
We shouldn't need any more new ones.
But we will need it in 25 before redistricting is done. So I would keep it in 25.
Keep 600.
Keep 600 in 25 because redistricting won't even be introduced or effective until 26, 27, right?
It does include repair and furnishing. So it is also kind of a maintenance capital project for those that are existing presently.
So let's keep 600 current year and
Yeah, I could say that.
Delete the out years and just the 6 for
Yeah,
25.
there's that, yeah. there's-
Okay.
there's-
Moving to the next one, school bus replacement. They were looking for 3 million. And plan was 800,000 a year.
I'd say take it back to plan.
Great.
Through modifications. This is similar to that other capital project. We review it every year and determine what the budget will be for that current year. They do not normally receive out year funding. So they were requesting $350,000. Last year, we gave them $350,000.
That looks good, Naomi. Keep it 350 and then delete the out years.
Okay. School furniture, similar to the one above. They were requesting $600,000 a year. However, we usually only recommend a fiscal year 25 value. Looks like last year we gave them $500,000, and so I've tentatively populated it with 500,000.
Looks good to me.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, upgrade various schools. Let me see here.
Delete.
It looks like they were
Yeah.
requesting 800. Last year we gave them 800, and the out years are at 0.
I'd rather keep this, I don't know. Upgrading various schools is, we've no idea what that really means.
Facility modifications that are beyond scope of routine minor construction. So they don't
think
deserve
it's-
their own capital projects.
Yeah, I think
But-
it's exciting.
Oh, yeah, but I
We're still
wonder,
removing 4
should
million
we-
from the line.
what was it last year, Naomi? Wasn't it 6?
800 this one,
It was okay. So let's do 8 and then delete the out years.
out years, okay. Vehicle replacement. They were requesting 500. It was brought back to plan for 400,000 a year.
Sure. Sounds appropriate.
Mhm.
Okay, additions. This one that has IAC funding tied to it. And so we've given them their full request of 1.847 million. But the out years were brought back to plan at $1.8 million.
Sounds good.
Where are you?
It looks like, Naomi, I
don't
thought
know.
we had 3 million in there
Yeah. 3 and 4.
So,
according.
yeah, so just keep in mind, this is just bonds and PAYGO we're looking at because we're calculating affordability. But let me pull up that capital project here. 5.92. Oops. Yeah, so there's only 1.847 million in bonds. The IAC funding contribution is 2.153, which would provide them a total funding of $4 million for additions. So this is just the county's, what it's going to cost the county.
So fund current year and take out the out years. Back to
Yes.
plan.
Back to plan.
Okay. Athletic stadium improvements. They were requesting $3.5 million. We brought them back to plan at $1.2 million per year. It looks like last year we gave them $3.5 million. I think that was for some specific projects that were in the pipeline that they needed to get done. But I just wanted to let you know that piece of information.
Yeah, because you'd asked about the AstroTurf. Yeah,
Yeah, I think last year they were doing
was a-
two or three AstroTurf fields instead of one a year. So, okay, back to plan on that one.
Driveways and parking lots, requesting 1.5 million a year, brought back to plan at 500,000 a year.
Agreed.
School playgrounds, this is another one that we review annually. They were requesting $400,000 and then increasing it to 500 in the out years. I tentatively put $400,000 in there for fiscal year 25 only, and that is because that's the value that was given to them last year.
Good.
Yeah,
Now we're going to move on to the schools. We're going to start with the new capital projects. The first one is that school bus facility lot. That capital project is requesting $10.5 million in total. And as mentioned by David Braun earlier, there is a potential property that may be able to be utilized or purchased. That funding resides under a different capital project. And this is for the design and construction of the building that will go on that property.
I'd say keep 25 for the feasibility, and then let's see what the feasibility and the proposed construction is. So delete 26 for now. Or,
If I may, from a budget standpoint, it's always nice to try and capture the full cost so that you really understand what you're making commitments to in the pipeline. I know sometimes we try not to do this, but there are occasions in which we only fund the budget year. In this case, it would be fiscal year 25. But as a general rule of thumb, we would want to try and capture the full cost that we think it's going to be so that we don't overspend. Just wanted to throw that out there.
what if we break it up?
Yeah, and I also wonder if, I mean, this seems like something that, well, this is the affordability part, but there would be outside, it seems like there would be some significant outside funding availability for it, so I hesitate to pull the whole thing, but we could divide it up. That doesn't take it off,
doesn't take it off.
doesn't take it off though.
It might be less lumpy. Let's revisit that one.
Okay.
So do we,
Let me type that in here.
maybe we put it in, but revisit it, if we
Yeah,
don't delete it, see how the numbers look and then revisit it.
oops. One too many zeros.
Minor number.
Okay, so you can see here I've added it back in for now. There is no cut. Let me just put this in red.
Yes. Somehow.
Okay, let me save this. This is a very delicate workbook. I like to save as I go. The next capital project is actually a new request. It's Ruth Parker Eason. They are looking to secure about $31 million starting in fiscal year 25.
Hey, I see 0, 0. In the out years. Oh, I see.
So this is all new.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a new capital project. There was no funding last year for this capital project. It was introduced for the first time last year, though. You can tell that because the capital project number ends in the 2 digits 24. So that indicates to me that that was the first year that the Board of Education brought this capital project forward for consideration. And it was removed last year at the time due to affordability reasons, such as the whole old mill situation that's going on. So
Melanie, what is, do you know anything about Ruth Parker's?
So it's a specialty school. Can you guys
Yes.
remind us what specialty it is and what the?
It does not say. I think it's special needs, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure on this one.
That's what I remember from previous years.
So are they looking to
Design.
upgrade it, change it, make it?
So the building,
Build it?
the existing building is 1984 and it's not configured to support the current or future education program. So they wanted a feasibility study and design for a new school.
You know, when we
Right.
started the old mill projects, we knew that was gonna take all the funding for 5 years. And I think we're 4 years into it. We're coming to our 5th year. Maybe
think-
feasibility, but I know that we don't have 31 million in the budget right now to fund a new school.
I don't think we can do it.
The next one is a new capital project, West County High School, and they were requesting $197 million. If I recall correctly, because of the redistricting in phase 1, the comment was made that they didn't need any new schools north. So this one, kind of feel like they've asked
out.
for it to say, you know, Board of Education needs funding, but it sounded like they didn't need it in the north portion of the county. Was that your understanding when they presented?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So take that out.
And the last capital project here is Northeast Area Elementary School. They were looking for $50 million. And again, the comment, if I recall correctly, was that because of redistricting, they didn't need this one at this time either.
Okay, then it can stay.
Alrighty.
Okay. Okay, so given what we have right now, we've removed $434 million of affordability. So that 500 number has now gone down tremendously.
Tremendously.
Yeah, that's why we start with the component units, because no one's gone through this process. So
Yeah.
okay, the next section is community college, and that is on page 94 of your overview section, but on the highlight or on the one pager, it looks like it's page 301. The first capital project is the HCAT relocation. It's to construct a new space and relocate the HCAT program from Glen Burnie to the Arnold campus. There is state funding tied to it, so this is only half the cost. The capital project is about $10.5 million.
And this was the building that was in really bad structural.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I would. Could you do the math for us? What if we just took out 400 plus million? So what does that leave us that we need to remove still?
70 million.
70, something like that. I'm
One
inclined
thing
to
you
say
could do is,
It's out.
one option is if you wanted to show support for the capital project, you could take this fiscal year 28 funding and put it in fiscal year 2030, indicating we support the project. However, affordability, this is something that needs to come on a little later on in the program. It's just an option.
I
Or
like
we
that
could
idea.
revisit it next year.
But move the planning out to 2030 so we can recognize it.
Oops. Gosh.
So this one had the significant structural issues. I mean, are they gonna need to move? I mean, is this more of an urgent need? I just remember them.
Well, let's see where we are, because
Yeah.
they need to do it.
You can
They'll come back
find
with an emergency
Yeah.
funding request.
Yes.
Okay.
The next one is the math building renovation. It's a new capital project. It looks like they were looking for design funding in fiscal year 30 to start that. That is also, there's usually a 50% state contribution. So this just represents half the cost, but another 300 would come from the state on that.
I think I would leave it.
Let's keep that
Let's-
funding in there for now,
Yeah, let's keep that in
to
2030.
recognize the project.
Okay. Campus improvements. Oh, okay, so campus improvements, so normally, or they requested $750,000 a year. I brought it back to plan. But if you recall, there's a capital project called Systemics. And they were requesting $2.25 million for the careers roof renovation. And that was incorrectly put in that capital project. So I've taken that 2.25 out of the careers and I put it in campus improvements for your consideration. So it's still acknowledging the request. I'm just making an adjustment to the capital project that it should belong under. And so in this scenario, you know, you can see here, they'd get their 700 and then they would get 2.25 million to address the roof issue.
So bring it back to plan and then the new roof.
Okay.
So as you
Okay.
got it now, yeah.
That's what she has, yeah.
The next capital project is walkways, roads, and parking lots. They requested an increase of 275 a year. I brought it back down to plan at 250.
Good.
Okay,
Student Services Renovation Center. It looks like they were requesting to pull this forward 1 year. But the approved program actually has it starting in fiscal year 29, and I have a feeling would continue on in 30. Let me just see here. Look at the project page on that. Just check something. I feel like
Naomi, that 9.6 million, is that the total cost for the whole project?
it looks like the total cost of the project is, let me check, about $8.8 million. You can see this. Total, oh, sorry. The $9.6 million is the estimated total cost of the project. So it looks like in fiscal year 24, we said, no, it really should start in fiscal year 29. So if we were to go back to plan, I would actually need to add 3706 there, because fiscal year 30 is now coming online. So we stuck with the fiscal year 24 approved schedule. They would get fiscal year 29 and 30. They would not start in 28.
They wouldn't lose their state part of that if they started later, would they? Their state grants?
Yeah, usually the Maryland Higher Education contributes about 50% of the total cost. So, you know, on the project page, you'll see that 50% of the cost is covered by the state, about 50% is covered by the county.
But they wouldn't lose that 50% if we push it back to plan.
No, they wouldn't lose it. The only actual funding they receive from the state, this is just a plan. So fiscal year 26 through 30 is a plan. The only money we actually receive from the state is for fiscal year 25. So that's the only one that has cash coming in on it. This is just a plan, the out years.
Move it back to plan.
yes, I guess so.
Yeah, push it back to plan,
Okay.
please.
Tech fiber infrastructure. It looks like we review this annually. They were looking to secure about a total of 1.9 million. Last year we gave them 450, and so in this scenario, we just gave them fiscal year 25 appropriation of 450.
Good.
That sounds right.
The last component unit is page 96 of the overview section and page 314. and the one pager. The first is a capital project for review. It's the Maryland City Library restroom. I think that's the one that had the long hallway that had lots of
Very expensive.
children
restroom.
accidents in the hallway. If I remember correctly.
I know Van brought this up too. Yeah, I mean, close to $1 million for a restroom, but apparently they needed new piping and stuff, but
Right.
still.
Have they looked into composting toilets?
Yeah,
I feel like the
right.
architect might have given the advice.
I mean,
I
It's just-
believe.
and even the really nice
Build your own
outbuildings,
bathroom.
they have outbuildings now that are very nice when you go to concerts or events.
I mean, it certainly sounds needed.
I
The need
understand,
is
yeah, I
there,
understand, but I mean,
Costs.
It's a renovation. It's that,
Yeah.
they have it, obviously, they have to
Have
have
to,
one,
they have to.
yeah, so. But $900,000 for the bathroom.
So keep
I
it,
think they need to go get creative with the resolution there.
okay, so we will keep that removed from the program for now. Deal Library Edition, it looks like they were requesting $4 million for an addition on the library. 4,000 square foot addition.
I don't know if that'll help us split it up or move it. Can we split it half and half?
When you don't fund the construction,
Yeah.
impacts getting funding.
So they did give us back $1.2 million with the Mountain Road Library. Before we cut that, Naomi, can you look at Millersville Library? 584100.
So 584100 is requesting $21.6 million. That's slated to start in fiscal year 28, and it was previously approved.
Is that the total cost?
Let me check.
Cause I had a note here, it was 41 million. That the out year,
Yeah, bear with me here. I'm just clicking through some screens.
And I made a note.
So maybe perhaps David Braun has an idea of what the full cost is. I think that there is additional cost that will be coming online in fiscal year 31, but I'm not sure of the dollar value.
Yeah, the
$41
total project cost is the 41 million you mentioned. What's shown in FY30 right now is half of the construction costs, with the other half being planned for 31.
So I guess my statement would be, we're looking at, on our paperwork for 5 years, it shows 21, but that's really 41 million.
That's for
And
the 6-year total, yeah.
6-year total.
So next year, that remaining 18 million will come online. We just don't see it in the budget book because we don't plan out to fiscal year 31. We go out to only 5 years in the program.
We talked about the, this Norrisville Library, a new library in Norrisville.
I'd leave it. I'd leave it
So-
for now because
Wait, we're at the deal or we did Millersville?
No, well,
we're in Miller.
my point is, we're looking at a $4 million with deal plus Millersville of 41 million.
I mean,
So-
41 is a very large chunk. So my notes on deals said in 2017, David, see if I wrote this right, there was an evaluation done and it failed. It was a 67 out of 100 for the deal library. Did I have that right? Or did I totally make that up?
I think this is for an expansion. I think they're looking to increase square footage by 4,000 square feet. Let me double check before I.
And that is because of their, I don't understand all of it, but it's about their program square foot per population or whatever. It's part of that. Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe there's currently not a community room or a meeting room in that library.
There is a meeting room, it does exceed capacity when they have large events, I bet somewhere it's been only there. And this is, you know, from the community's perspective, this is kind of been brought up as opportunity to complement the Deal Community Park, which is right next door,
Mhm, mhm. I
expands, that we
remember
have this
that, yeah.
community meeting space next to the park to try to create more of a civic complex there.
And I wrote that it's the only library in the southern region. That's correct. So there's not a lot of other libraries.
No, they need it. They definitely need.
Yeah, my notes only say about a South County Community Center already in existence, or I don't know, my handwriting's like chicken scratch on this one, so.
You wanna leave it for now?
I guess I'm inclined to leave it in for now, and I mean, because that's a smaller chunk than a whole new library. I mean, if we have to support some but not all, then I think it,
That's got a small pushback.
the,
It's 4,000 square feet at $4 million, $1,000 a square foot.
is,
They're also doing electrical work. Right. It's not, they don't have the power infrastructure to meet demand, so I'm wondering if that's for like computers and, you know.
Yeah,
and I guess that is the hard thing about estimating square foot cost for additions
Right.
and renovations,
Right.
because you've always got what's existing
What's
that you have to
existing, going in and
fix.
fix it, okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
that's still.
So it's not a straight square foot cost.
maybe I'll put it in and I'll make a note to revisit.
Sounds good.
And the last one, this is a recurring capital project, the library renovation. They were looking to increase funding to $820,000 in fiscal year 25, but they were requesting plan in the out years. In this scenario, I brought them back to plan, but I think there was something very specific
There must have been.
that they needed to have done on that one. Let me see here. Update, oh, this was the IT department. They wanted to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Show those
Yeah,
photos.
so,
So what if we left it in for next year, but we went lower in the out years and just went to 150 for now?
So reduce their current programming to
About
150,
200.
but give them what they were looking for in 25, is that?
5, you could actually reduce it to 250, and I think that'll make up for it. 1, 2, 3.
So do we agree to give them the 820?
Yeah, give them the 820. And reduce the out years by 100 each one, and that gets us close to back to plan. It just changes the numbers a little bit.
Okay, so they were requesting 2.6 million. They're getting 1.6 million.
No, we were gonna take 25 to the 820.
Oh, yeah, I'm like, this doesn't look right.
Right.
There we go. So they're getting 820 in fiscal year 25. The out years are being reduced from 350,000 to 250,000 for a net reduction of only 500,000.
Yep.
Okay. Look at that. And it's almost 10. We've covered the component units. We are just,
Hey, wait a minute, what about the new Glen Burnie Library?
that's already in the pipeline and was approved, I believe. Let me just,
Yeah, that's already.
yeah,
yes, yes, so they are requesting $42.1 million, and that is what is in the budget.
Yeah.
It's a current
Okay.
existing project, and so 100% of their funding request has been
The
recommended.
reason it's highlighted is because 1 year is a little bit more.
More, and then the other one's less, okay, that's what I figured.
Did we come to a decision on Millersville?
No, we have not. So if you go back to Millersville, It looks like FY 28, they're requesting design and then construction in 3031.
Mhm.
So we haven't come to it, because it's not a is that, did I make that up? I mean, I don't, we haven't come to it on Naomi's yet.
Because that was in the, it was approved capital project,
right.
with funding. And let me see here. Oh, it looks like what was in the program was only fiscal year 28 in the budget. And so last year was approved for like $2.56 million. And then in fiscal year 30, the construction's now come online. So it's an approved project in the pipeline. It just happens to be that half of the additional expenditures coming online in 30. So it's a significant increase, but it was something that was anticipated.
All right,
Moving forward.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start all the way up at the top here with the general county class. And we're going to take a look at new capital projects and multi-year recurring capital projects in this class. That's on page 62 of your overview and page 1 of your one-pager. Starting with a new capital project, this is from Central Services. It's County Septic Systems Assessment. They were looking for $134,000.
I say fund it.
Keep it, I
Keep
agree,
it.
Yep.
they need to do
Yeah,
that.
something about septic.
Not mess with that at all.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, the next one was Glen Burnie Plaza redevelopment. It was requesting $500,000 in fiscal year 25. And I feel like this one has funding tied to it. Let me just check here. Yes, so there's a federal grant of a little over $1 million. And so this is kind of a county match of sorts toward the project. So it looks like it's going to be about 1.5 or $6 million. And the county portion of that would be 500,000.
all right, well, I think we should keep that.
Keep it.
If we're only putting a third into it.
Yeah,
Okay, Baltimore Washington Medical Center. Oh, this is the cardiac catheterization labs. So this is kind of, you know, how we had the Anne Arundel Medical Center financial contribution toward, I think it was their psychiatric wing. And then we've given this hospital financial contributions toward renovations and improvements. They're requesting $1 million to help with this construction. And it's in fiscal year 25 and 26. It's not a capital project that's managed by us. This is just a financial contribution.
I'd keep it.
You want to keep it?
I'd keep it. I think they've worked really hard to get their heart accreditation, and it's half. They're getting the other half. And there's a definite need. Otherwise, you'd go to Washington.
I'm game. I mean,
Mhm.
hard to say no to your hurt.
The next new capital project, unfortunately, we don't have a tremendous amount of information on this one. It's the Multicultural Center. The $500,000 is really just the county's contribution. There is a $5 million state grant, but it just came out in the budget. We really don't know what it's going to be, where it's going to go. So this is kind of a placeholder capital project to acknowledge, you know, we see the value in a multicultural center and the $5 million grant from the state. And this would be the county's financial contribution at this time toward it. So
Do we have any indication that that $5 million grant
That's what I was
is
gonna
going
say.
to be funded?
it was in the proposed budget. So we, you know, until it passes.
That was my question. Exactly, because we're talking about how short the state budget is. I mean, they are millions in debt.
Yeah.
Billions, sorry,
I haven't
and
finished that project. When
I-
funded, so we
I would be,
cut our end because I think they're going to
Yeah,
cut their end.
I would
Or-
be
agree.
skeptical that they would get 5 million.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay,
So we're removing it for now?
yes.
Agricultural preservation program, it is a recurring capital project. During the presentation, the department did indicate that they did not need fiscal year 25 money, so I've removed it, but I did keep the fiscal year 26 funding, which was in plan.
Is it 5-3?
No.
No,
This is C
4400,
where are
page
you?
64.
Oh, at the bottom, I'm sorry, okay, got it. I'm sorry, so you kept it for 25 and then took it out?
No, I removed it for 25 because the department indicated they didn't need funding at this time, but I kept fiscal year 26.
Okay, thank you.
That sounds
Yeah.
appropriate,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep,
And then the next one was rural legacy. Again, if I recall correctly, this was the one where they didn't need fiscal year 25 funding, but I did go back to plan in the out years.
So yeah, the description said the funding will be provided by the state under their rural legacy program. So do we just use the 75 as a placeholder? Or this is consistently,
Yeah, so this is
But-
just a contribution. I mean, it's $75,000. We could certainly put it back in. I was just, my records indicated that they said they didn't need the funding.
no, it's by the state, so they don't need it. I guess my question is,
keep it for the out years.
yeah,
Okay, so yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm doing. So I'm only removing fiscal year 25,
right.
but the out years are brought back to plan because the bulk of this capital project is state funded. I mean, it's like 1.6 million. So very small portion of that is county funding. Oh, this is the wired broadband access. So this is my note to myself. This capital project was actually looking for fiscal year 25 funding, but it was ARP grant funding. So you can see here, I don't have any numbers on here because it's not affecting affordability, but it's just a kind of a memory tickler to remove that request in my mind. Okay, continuing on with the same methodology. The only thing that I had was you had indicated that for the police station, you wanted to add the construction funding and estimated cost associated with it. I did reach out to David, and these are just kind of tentative numbers at this point, but as you had indicated previously, you wanted to, if I understood correctly, you wanted to provide the remainder support of this capital project. Is that correct? So it actually increases it by 14.3 million.
Like you
Naomi, sorry, 1 second. We had a technical difficulty in the room.
Okay. So based on prior meeting, it sounded like you wanted to add back the construction funding associated with this capital project. Are you able to hear me okay? Okay, I think we lost him. Okay, so the only people I see right now are David Braun, Jessica, and Beth.
I can hear you just fine. It's not you.
Yeah, okay, she said they're having technical
Naomi, can you
difficulty.
hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Right,
Oh,
1 second,
everyone's
sorry, we
blurry.
experienced a technical difficulty and I'm just gonna get us running in a second.
Sure.
All right. Hear you. Can you try saying something, Naomi?
Yes, I can hear you all now. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. So we're back on, say, Naomi, Northern District Police Station. We had a placeholder in there for 25 of 1.7 million for design.
And I've added, the estimated cost as we know it to be at this time of 14.3 million.
Okay, I think we need to keep that. They definitely need to.
Michael, can
rebuild
you
that.
close the chat? Or somebody? Yes.
So that was the new Northern District Police Station we were talking about. We're adding the full request to the budget.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, I didn't hear that.
Okay, we want to add the request for that police station in.
Okay, all right, yes. So we're adding $14.3 million to that capital project. Okay, so there weren't any other actually there is one. Public safety radio
Yes.
systems upgrade. I don't have that pre-populated in here, but this might be something you want to add. Bear with me, I'm clicking through my screens. Okay, I am going to move this over. I think that you are able to see the one pager, but I thought I'd just move this over to the screen. So you can see here that they're requesting additional funding of 650 in fiscal year 25. And then in the out years, they're looking for $400,000. If I remember correctly, this is for maintenance. It's a consultant, I believe, to continue maintenance with basically this capital project that we've had. It sounds like it's technology specific. And so they want to make sure that there is someone available to do that for them.
It says 2001, then it says fiscal year 16. And then it says the project is 100% eligible for use of impact fees. I'm confused.
Are you able to see the one pager?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you clarify the funding, the amendment history? I think is that what you were reading?
Oh, so yeah, that's old. So that is just that is done for like reconciliation purposes and recording adjustments and changes that were made. So sometimes, for example, the Board of Education received grant funding mid-year. You would see a comment in this section saying Bill 8723 added $600,000 of grant funding, so that when the auditor goes back and tries to reconcile this number, the prior year, they'll see that the approved budget had one thing for fiscal year 24, and now it's $600,000 higher, and it just helps them reconcile and track this number. So it for your purposes, I don't know that it's
I think this needs to stay in.
Back to budget,
No, well, sorry, can you go back to the other?
I mean, back to 4
Oh.
versus that's only $150.
I'm sorry, how much are they asking for this year?
$150,000. They're asking for 650
Why don't-
this year and then
Why don't we
400.
fund the
plus.
current year and take out the out year? That'll be
It looks like we left placeholders last time.
there was no prior approved funding
It's
for this project to continue on.
Oh, they're asking for 400. Sorry, in the,
Well, they're asking for 650
sorry, yeah. I'm
this
reading.
year, yeah.
And then
650 here,
400
and then 400 just as placeholder, they're moving the forward years.
I say give them 400 this year and delete the rest.
Did you read the description? Like,
Back,
Yeah.
yeah, that was 2016. So
Yeah.
that's what I was
confused.
asking, yeah.
You want to go with 400 this year? Take out the out years and
See what, have them come back next year.
I'm still confused as to what they want. I mean, like, why is it? Sorry, I didn't get the memo.
This project is funded by impact fees, Naomi?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it said.
Let me check. I don't believe it is, but
It says 100% off
It says.
Yeah.
it's
I know.
not.
on the description.
So, again, we're confused by the description that talks about fiscal year 2016. And that it is 100% impact fees, so maybe we need an update on the
Description.
description.
So, I will double check on this, but I would think that the consultant maintaining the equipment wouldn't add additional capacity for the county. And so although it may have qualified for impact fees at one time, it might not now, but I will follow up with planning and zoning to get clarification on that.
Okay.
Now, this is
This
the
is just a
consultant to
maintenance.
maintain it.
Currently, the impact fees for public safety are being deployed to a couple fire stations and the 911, the joint 911 call center. So I know from a balance standpoint in the public safety, what's the word I want to use, a bucket. There isn't any funding to be utilized. So it may be eligible, but there isn't sufficient fund balance to offset the cost to this capital project at this time because it's being deployed to other
Sure.
public safety capital projects.
This is a new request. I say take it out for now.
It's not that much they can find it from themselves.
Yeah, $2 million.
All right, we have
I'm sorry, what was the final decision on that?
recommendation is to take it out since it's a new request. We're optimistic they'll find it somewhere else or.
Okay. Okay. Let me go back here. Okay, let me just make sure my formulas are accurate.
Save it.
Okay, that ties out. Okay, the next one is recreation and parks. That starts on page 71 of your overview and page 82 of your one pager. The first thing we start with is the new capital projects. And let me, bear with me, I'm just gonna flip through a couple screens here. I'm gonna move over to the highlighter because I did do that. Okay, so just as a refresher, when we asked them to prioritize, if I recall correctly, Jessica indicated she wanted, she's got a lot of construction projects already in the pipeline, so she certainly wants that to continue on. That's her number one. With regard to new capital projects, she indicated Edgewater as her number one, and then kind of tied for second and third, she had indicated Davidsonville, and then Marley Creek. And so that's the information I had on record. So in moving back to the affordability worksheet, taking a look at the Davidsonville Rec Center renovation. And if you recall, this is the one that there are significant renovations going on an annual basis. And so she felt that this would be almost kind of mitigate the continual repairs that have been required in the past few years. So at this juncture, it's removed, but would you like me to add that back?
That was her number one request.
Second.
No.
No, Edgewater. This one here.
I mean. Davidsonville is needed.
Yeah.
How are they funded and is there grant money available or?
Not to my knowledge. This is a new capital project, so, and this is the first year it's being requested. So I don't believe there is, any funding other than county support on this one. Yeah. 100% county.
Maybe we could
Overall balance.
say that again?
Naomi, can you update the group on what our overall balance is right now?
Yes, thank you.
Well, I've got other things nested in here, but,
Yeah.
Where's 72?
Oops.
We got it, 472. We got it.
Okay, so this is the calculation as I have it as a whole on the worksheet. We haven't reviewed all of the other classes. Like we haven't reviewed roads and bridges and we haven't reviewed rec and parks. So there are some, like I said, some preliminary assumptions in here that you may change, but that's kind of where we are now. Just to refresh your memory, what I did was I removed all new projects for you to review. And then I brought recurring capital projects back down to plan. So in continuing with that logic, we're 32 million over. But like I said, we still have quite a few project classes to review. Does that make sense?
Come back, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would support keeping Davidsonville and Edgewater and not Marley Creek. And by keeping, I mean, adding it to the, I know I'm adding to the, what we're trying to take away. But.
My only comment would be Marley Creek's had about 3,000 new homes built in that area.
That was 2/3. Tender.
Yeah. Too. I mean, they don't have any park up there. They need a park really good. Everybody needs a park.
I don't understand why.
I'll give them 214 funding.
You know, like you said, they have had all these new homes built, then why aren't they building parks
Within it.
with the
Right,
home?
with the home, right.
And why aren't we
Well,
using
why would
those
you-
impact fees to, well, speak up then. Come on, Edward.
You're right, you're right. I mean, I was sitting thinking, why wouldn't that be baked into the project of building a new home? And then the county turns around and they gotta eat the cost of it. That doesn't make sense.
Even if it was initially built, then we would be able to at least help with the maintenance.
Of it.
But we're talking to build a whole new park.
So to be clear though, like, so we're thinking about the developments like Tenure Cove out on the end of Marley Neck. So county subdivision requirements do require that, land be set aside for open space for use of that community. So when you drive through like a Tenure Shores, you'll see they've got like a little top lot with a playground and they've got open space built in that. And this is kind of then this is taking it to the next level, kind of the additional county parks
Yeah,
that
they
can
have
go
no
outside of the development.
Soccer field,
envelope.
baseball field, football field, or anything.
I remember that in that Tenure development too, there's another parks project that was previously approved last year to build ball fields on that site that, one of the ball fields will eventually be removed for a school, elementary school. So that project is right in the heart of that development. The Marley Creek site is closer to kind of Arundel, Glen Burnie, a little more inland than the Marley Neck Peninsula.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's tough. So Naomi, right now in your budget projections, you removed all 4 of those new projects.
Correct. South River, Marley Creek, Edgewater, and Davidsonville. And that is a total of about $24 million.
Okay, let's come back to that. Leave it that way for now. Let's come back to those new
Okay.
projects.
I think we definitely need to come back.
Yeah,
I don't want to,
we'll-
I don't think it's fair to cut all 4.
So we will come back to that.
Okay, so the next project class would be roads and bridges. Just to let you know, all of Jessica's requests for the multi-year recurring went back to plan. And then let me just look at the schedule 2 here.
Can you show us the swim center, please?
Yeah, I
Naomi?
think we should talk about it.
Okay, yes.
Project.
Is that the new swim center?
It's not
Yes.
even.
The one that
anywhere
they
near
don't have a
Victoria.
location for?
Correct.
You remind me, it's northwest.
West County Swim Center, 579900.
That is on page 108. I'm not sure if you said that already. Sorry, I'm a little slow. Yes, so that remains at plan. And they were requesting, the plan had $18.5 million as a placeholder for this capital project, indicating a total of 22.4 million dollars. Of course, we know that that is would not be the full cost of a swim center if they decide what location to choose. I know there's been a lot of talk about this in the town halls with the communities and about the various locations and council member comments indicating other locations that could be a little higher in cost tentatively or estimated. It's kind of all up in the air. I guess you could say there's no decision made on that yet. So there's a $18.5 million
All the new parks.
in this project.
Go up in the air.
It would help fund all the-
Yeah.
Swim center, you could almost fund all the parks.
All the new parks.
Right. Dawn, speak up.
Yeah, what you were saying about this project being, up in the air, when you've got these other 4 that are in the works and the community wants them, and I feel like,
They now have an Edgewater building.
right.
I
would rather-
guess I also have to question if the Edgewater building is listed at 11 million. And this new swim center is listed at 17.5, that math doesn't work.
That's only part of
No,
it.
yeah, so it's just a placeholder until they're able to determine the location, and once they do, then they'll really be able to get clarification on the true cost. And that's kind of why it was just kept at plan.
So Naomi, a question I have is with the swim center, that it'll have to be redesigned if they change the location or once they determine it. So that $3 million has already been spent for design.
Let me check. I can tell you what's available. Oops. Bear with me. All right, let me make the font bigger on my report here. It looks like there are $3.9 million in appropriation. They currently have almost $2 million still available on the capital project, and that was as of February 21st. So there is funding still in the capital project to
design.
I would defer to David as to whether that's sufficient to continue on in the process of determining what location, but.
Well, and it is, I would also add that the approach we've taken to this is that the building design itself won't change. It's basically a building that's being designed that will then fit on whichever site they choose. So that part of it then at least won't have to use new, we won't have to redo the design of the building.
No matter which land, like, they will not.
It's a square box.
Right.
It's a square box with the pool place.
It will not be different.
I guess, I think what our question is here is that, if I'm kind of getting a little bit from everybody, is can we adjust this number since it's so in flux and we know that number is not real? Can we reduce this in some way to help us with some of our other?
Absolutely. One option could be to reduce or remove and say, when you have a little firmer plan in place, come back with some
Yes.
kind of solid numbers or a plan. Or
Yes,
more
please.
information about the location and the potential
I think
costs
a good
associated
idea
with
would-
those various locations. Yeah, that's an option.
Leave the design cost in there as a placeholder. Take out the 18 million for construction for now, since we're not sure where we're building it. And let's use that 18 million to go back and revisit the new project parks that we already have land for and might be more shovel ready.
Okay, so
As in-
Yeah.
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 I've removed the swim center. 18.5. And we move up the screen here. We have the Davidsonville for 3.1, the Edgewater for 11.5, and Marley Creek for 5.6. Those were the top 3 new project priorities.
So maybe David could speak as to which projects could be done more quickly, depending on funding, if we could spread some of that funding out.
No, you don't need to though. You just give them 18, just take the 18 out and you can fund all 3 of those, because that goes a tad bit over, but
It's more than 18 now. So
A little bit.
Not-
Talking.
not by too much.
What,
Give Edgewater 10.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah.
say.
Give Edgewater 10, Davidson 5, Marley 5,
No,
then
Davidson
you're
gets,
over by 2.
Davidson gets 3.
So the total of all 3 of these is almost $2 million.
So let's get that number down to 18 million for those 3
So-
projects.
I would defer to engineer speak as to whether that's even a viable option. I mean, these numbers are very specific. I don't know from a project standpoint where the line could be drawn to reduce that number, or which project. I don't know if David has anything he can contribute on that.
So for Davidsonville and Marley Creek, these numbers had already been reduced to just a phase 1. You know, future work and all that has already been taken out of the budget numbers. Frankly, at the scope you're talking about, trying to find another 2 million, I think that it would be easier to just remove one of them than to try to play with the numbers.
Mathematically, yeah.
Do we move?
Mathematically. to the
That is a renovation.
And it's a really like, and it's a renovation.
Are you referring to the Edgewater, the renovation of an existing?
No, we're
Oh.
to add in Edgewater, add in Marley Creek, and keep Davidsonville off.
Okay,
But here,
I'm
Yeah.
saying with South River.
oh, and South
South
River,
River.
keep South River
We'll
off.
put out, yeah, keep stuff a little off.
so add back Edgewater, add back Marley Creek.
And that's it.
That's it.
Keep the others as it is.
David,
And then,
do you mind clarifying what that phase 1 of Marley Creek encompasses?
It's basically getting infrastructure to the site and some passive improvements like paths, trails kind of thing, without getting into any actual recreational type facilities.
For the 4 million? I mean, the 25 and the 26 makes sense, but what about 27?
Yeah, that's the construction number. We're showing 25 is design, 26 is getting the construction manager on board, and then 27 is construction.
So,
okay,
so as it stands right now, I have Davidsonville, at this time, we're removing the funding, he might circle backwards to see our numbers. Edgewater, we're adding the request, Marley Creek, we're adding the request, and South River, at this time, we're removing, we might come back once we see our numbers.
Yes.
Correct.
and we're removing fiscal year 26 of the West County Swim Center.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, let me just check my formula here.
We've been talking for about an hour and a half, do you guys need a break?
Yes.
Yes. how it's about 10:30. Do we want to come back at 10:45?
That's great.
Does that work for you, Naomi?
That sounds great.
Okay, 15-minute break.
Thank you.
Recording off. Naomi, we're back.
Naomi, I think you're muted. Thank you.
Yes.
So Naomi, I did have a comment. Can you enlighten us about the enterprise fund and that type of funding and its impact on the budget?
Great question. So the enterprise funds, the solid waste and the utility funds are kind of in their own silo. They generate their own revenues from user charges and fees. And in turn, they cover those expenses associated with that fund with those revenues. So they're kind of their own entity. The general fund is actually the one, like we said, we were looking at today, because that's the county financial impact, is associated with the bonds and PAYGO. So the enterprise funds, what they expend, they cover with their own revenues.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Maybe we could just share a little bit about the conversation in just kind of summary on the parks discussion that we just had and the decisions that we made. We just want to reiterate that we believe these decisions really speak on point to Plan 2040 with the Edgewater building and redevelopment. The infrastructure is already there. It will require significant stormwater management upgrades to acres and acres of land that have been a blight and hard surfaces for decades. So I think, and then of course, South Riverfront Park, some of the ones that we've chosen not to fund at this time, we are still waiting on 214 improvements and such. So, we think it's valid to continue to push that off a little bit until we've got the infrastructure in place and that we're currently in a stakeholder advisory committee meeting to re-envision what South River Farm Park would be. So I think it's really appropriate to hold on that as well.
Okay.
I think maybe we're worth mentioning too that I believe the Marley Creek Park is also an area that was identified in the Land Preservation Parks and Recreation Plan, being an area of high need, both kind of for proximity and then socioeconomic equity need in the Glen Burnie area for more park facilities.
Exactly. Thank you, Michael, for adding that. Yep.
Okay, great.
Well, okay, Naomi.
And let me just save the worksheet again. Moving on to the next class, it's roads and bridges. It starts on page 76 of your overview and page 138 of the one-pager report. Now, within this class, there are several components. There's bridges, which is federal funding. I believe it's 80% federally funded, and we only do the projects for which we are able to secure that funding. And then we have a combination of highways and transportation. So the order you're going to see here is just project order number. So first starting with Gambrel's Dykus Mill Road improvements. This capital project was looking for about $5.8 million. And if I recall correctly, this had a significant safety issue associated with this capital project.
That's the only new project?
No, there's several more.
Let's talk about all the new projects.
Okay, sure. The next in project number order is the Brooklyn Park Mobility Improvements. This is associated with the Department of Transportation, and it was their #1 request. or priority, I should say. And I believe this one might have funding tied to it. Let me just double check here. It doesn't at this time, but it is strongly believed that they would be able to secure some grant funding associated with this capital project. Moving down, the Forest Drive safety improvements, looking for $4.8 million. This was transportation's number 2 priority. I think there was a study associated with this one too. Or also, I should say. And then we have Stevenson School Drive for about $2.6 million. This was transportation's number 3. And I believe this is improvements associated with, oh, what is the name of the new high school? It's not Old Mill anymore. It's Severn. No.
Severn Run.
Yeah, yes. Actually, there's multiple schools, I believe, associated with this capital project, but it's basically to support those entities. And then transit studies for $265,000. That was transportation's number 4.
They are in order.
So those are all the new capital projects in the roads and bridges class.
Anybody, any comments on these?
I'm sorry, Naomi, I have one question. The Gambrels road improvement was number 1
Mhm.
for DPW?
Yes, I believe highways.
Okay. For highway, sorry. Okay, and then I made a note here somehow. Do we have traffic control program?
So the traffic control class. Mhm.
Yeah. is
That's
that-
actually just below this. So we would cover roads and bridges first. And once we
Okay.
conclude that, we'll move on to traffic control.
Got it, thank you.
Yep.
And so that's 5 projects, and you've cut all those projects out currently?
Right. And again, that was just done so that I'm not typing more than I need to, because it's easier to delete than it is to add when you're on the fly. So
if you could remind us as we, ideally could add some projects back in, but we're still not meeting our numbers, where else would we go to take out?
So after the multi-year recurring and the new capital projects, we then start to look at existing capital projects that are already in the pipeline, that would be in phases that we could potentially take an out year phase out of the equation and then address that at a later date. That is that's the challenging. That's the final phase of this process. Yeah. And a good chunk of that work was done in oversight. So there's, and then David can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe there's a lot of opportunity to cut phase funding. Because I think they already went through a chunk of it.
Naomi, can you go back to our summary and we can see our 5-year project totals to see how lumpy our
There we are.
So-
year in, year in.
Yeah, so given where we are right now, wait, let me bear with me, I just need to unhide this. Boop. Nope, that's not. Okay. Okay, so it would be this number here. Now, remember, we have a lot of schools in the pipeline for 25 and 26. So it is going to be lumpy. We do our best to try and smooth that out, but in all honesty, that's something that we usually address in the straw man and the county executive proposed with regard to timing, because there are so many moving parts to this. It's, we try and do it as we go, but really the meat and potatoes of it is handled a little later on in the process. So I wouldn't be too concerned with it. Like I said, especially since we have a lot of large schools, it's like Chris Trumbauer mentioned in his introductory speech, it's kind of, the snake that ate the python that ate the elephant. We're still processing some really hefty projects, but as it stands right now, and again, there are a couple more classes we need to address, and we kind of need to go through the new projects again and feel a little comfortable if we went through those too. But right now we would be about 29 million over, no, okay. Sorry, I thought I might have something here. Yeah, so that's only 1.8% over affordability. So that's where we are presently, but like I said, there's still some other classes and some other things we need to revisit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. My comment with the Stevenson Drive would be that's a 3-year project. And the new high school is going to open later on this year.
Is that?
And
The new that's Cat North, right?
that is, the new high school.
Oh,
Severn Run.
Severn Run.
Severn Run, right?
Let's put that back in. As the last thing you want to do is have continual traffic problems at a brand new school.
We did that even though that was their third choice.
The third.
Yeah, that was
That was
their third.
priority. And because the Gambrels reads as if it's a later phase of an existing project. That would wrap up that project. And this will
I would defer to DPW on the specifics of that, David.
Yeah, so 2 things. One on Gambrels. We're actually doing preliminary design under one of the multi-year projects that Highways has to get to a 30%. So the work that's been done is under that program, and then the intent here is to create a separate standalone for the rest of the design and the construction so that it doesn't just take up all of the funding out of that highway safety program. As far as Stevenson Drive, I'd mention that yes, the Severn Run High School is opening this fall. We have a number of sidewalk projects in and around that are going to be constructed this summer that we've been working on to address that high school itself. This project is really tied more to 2 other schools that are listed on the one pager. It's for Quarterfield Elementary and Old Middle School North New Campus. And the Stevenson Drive project then is tied to that. Those are expected to open in 27, so that's why we're looking to try to start that now to have them ready for school opening in 27.
Porterville Elementary is open now, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
have improvements to it, right? It's open now.
It's open,
So
Yeah.
one question, I'm sorry, I want to go back just a little bit because,
just in the last.
what about,
152.
I had notes down on Pleasant Plains, Marley Neck and Shore on Beach Road. And those were also new asks. Correct? Wasn't Marley Neck new?
No, it was new last year. We had design funding approved last year. And
Okay, so this is just an increase in the design, and then you're looking for construction in 27, it went down a little bit, which is
and
good.
that's just for a phase 1, yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, what projects have additional funding tied to them?
So again, I believe the Brooklyn Park mobility improvement, there is a lot of opportunity for some grant funding. I don't believe there's any, let me just check here. No, not that one. I don't think this one.
So Naomi, is that one of the ones where we, the county gives money and then we get it back once the grant is secured?
Are you referring to, the Gamble, or
Brooklyn
not the
Park.
Gambles, sorry, the Brooklyn Park Mobility?
Right, yeah. You
Yeah,
said that had grant funding, right?
I feel like we should add in Brooklyn Park. I mean, I think it's in a, located in an equity high need area.
Exactly, yeah.
It's, the primary benefit of this would be the reductions in the number of and severity of crashes, including reductions in fatalities and serious injuries. So I would support adding this back in.
Okay. There's a lot of new homes being built up there also.
It's a high need. area,
Yeah.
High need area. And I would suggest adding at least for 25, the Forest Drive safety improvements back in, because that is also a high need.
I'd love to see that, that's fine.
You mean keep the design in?
That's fair.
I'm sorry?
I would, yeah, I said I would love to see that, if that's possible.
Well, Naomi, we're discussing about keeping the design in for Forest Drive.
639.
So let me see, just, let me check on the project page. I'm not sure how far along we already are in the project, so these numbers might be fairly accurate.
Yeah,
And we may want to keep them in, but David?
well, so what I would say on that one, and it goes back to the discussion on phasing a bit. In FY 25, we completed a study that had a lot of citizen feedback, a lot of public meetings to go over the issues there and what was being proposed. What we've got shown in FY 25 is the short-term improvements that's both design and construction of those short-term improvements. The study actually had identified short-term, mid-term, and long-term, so that the short-term is in 25. The midterm improvements are showing design in 27 and construction in 28. So that would in essence be a phase 2 of the project on that one.
We'll keep short term in and
I think at the least we
At
keep
least
short.
keep it
Yeah.
determined, right?
So add back short term, please, Naomi. And then Brooklyn Park as well,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
You got that. Okay, sorry.
Nope, that's okay. It's always good to double check.
And I would cut Stevenson.
about Stevenson, okay.
Oh, so
Okay.
cut Stevens.
Cut Stevenson for now, since it really doesn't have to do with the high school. It's for future Porterfield
Yeah, but when you.
and Old Mill Middle School.
Yeah, Old Mill, Middle School North, Quarterfield, I think are associated with this one. And those are coming, David, I don't recall, is it fiscal year 26?
7.
27, okay.
Okay, what did we decide with Gambrel's Dickus Mill Road?
Any more information on that?
Roadway improvements at the intersection of Gambrels Road and Dickus Mill, identifies safety issues, include roadway design and construction for a new roundabout. So I think this is the one that had multiple crashes.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so this would address that, and so it's more of a safety related capital project.
That's why it was highways #1 priority.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like they should get their number one.
Yeah, we should add that back, and try to figure something out.
Yep. Can we put that back in, please?
Sure.
We like roundabouts. It could be a sample.
We do.
We do. We don't have enough roundabouts.
Okay, so right now Gambrels is in, Brooklyn Park Mobility is in, which is transportation's number one. So highways and transportation's number one is in there. We have Forest Drive safety improvements, phase one only. And then Stevenson Drive School is completely removed. And then the last new one is transit studies for 265,000.
No. I just leave it out.
Take it out.
Okay.
That's-
Yeah, it was their number 4.
Number 4.
Baldwin, and then the new Cat North is going
Okay.
into that.
I just not with their number 3.
I'm sorry?
I'm just struggling with Stevenson, because I'm trying to remember the location, but I think Porterfield's here. Spalding. The new school, and then Cat North's coming online to be a new school as well. And it's already, that Stevenson Road is just already a nightmare.
So maybe we should mark these to come revisit, and try to,
And Porterfield Elementary is complete.
Right.
right
And that's
now.
the one with the, like, in
Right.
pedestrian safety.
Pedestrian safety, right, and that new school is completed.
You could definitely put in 25. It's only 200,
I
263.
don't know if that gets them, but
If you want, I could pull up the slide, from Office of Transportation that shows a highlighted section of road where I assume the improvements would be, and it also highlights where the schools are, if you
could
could
you,
see
for
that.
me real quick?
Do you need me to stop sharing?
I think I can override you.
Yeah.
Sorry. So this is from their
Oh,
presentation.
Right, so, yeah, that's the new Cat North. And there's nothing there for them right now. There's Porterfield and then there's Stevenson Road, and that's it. Cat North's gonna come on, like, they have no walkway, no sidewalk. I mean, it's a mess back there. And what you don't have, right to the other side of that is Spalding.
Yeah, Spalding, they're not even showing.
They're not even
that.
showing that, so I mean, that's,
Okay, but realistically. And I don't know the area at all, so realistically, are there homes back there? I mean, I see a lot.
and
of-
they're new builds too,
Mhm.
back over in this.
So if they do this, would it actually link? So kids are riding or walking?
That's a great question, because knowing the area, I don't know how they would do it, because
You know, the walkability of it, is that what you?
yeah, there's
That's what I'm
zero,
saying, I mean,
there's
you know.
zero right now.
David, could you speak on that, on this project? Does it include all new sidewalks and improve the walkability that would be connecting Severn Run and Cat North and?
Cause right now, I don't think there's any sidewalk on Stevenson, I don't think.
No. And you're correct. And the intent of this, initially, we're actually starting a study of this to identify what needs to be designed, but there's no sidewalk on Stevenson at all. There's no sidewalk in the highlighted section of Porterfield.
No,
And the
right,
intent was to install this so that the existing houses out there were able to use it to get to the two schools. Primarily to get to Porterfield and the Cat North site.
Okay, because we don't want to build sidewalks in nowhere. We
right,
have those,
right, well,
but we want to make sure that they connect. To make it.
I'm unclear, David, does that mean sidewalks are going to connect to the high school and all the way down to Porterfield once this project's done?
That's in the scope of the study. We're trying to figure out, some of that depends on the district for the high school, where people are coming from. But that's part of what we're trying to figure out. So at this point, it's part of the scope that's being studied, yeah.
So this 2.6 million is more of studies and not the actual cost of the project.
Now, the FY 25 and 26 numbers are design and feasibility and design and getting ready. The FY 27 number is construction.
Definitely.
I say keep 25 and 26.
Yeah, they need it.
We're lumpy in 27 already, so.
Naomi, the floor is yours. If you want to show your spreadsheets again while we discuss. Thank you.
You want to keep
I
25,
just
26
know,
in?
I keep it in, I would say so. Yeah, I would.
Okay, so right now I have 25 and 26 in for Stevenson. Forest, I have fiscal year 25. Brooklyn Park is completely in, and Ambrose for highways. Okay, so, and we cut the transit.
For additional context on earlier on the schools too, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Porterfield is one of the 17 elementary schools that's been prioritized and done, safe routes to schools, studies around it. So it'd be more detailed recommendations to improve walkability around that elementary school in the coming years.
And which currently they have none. Right now.
And if you, no, again, I don't know this, Old Mill, no, Porterfield is elementary.
Mhm.
Old Mill is middle school, so you want to make sure that they can walk back and forth to each other. Kids, siblings,
They're literally right behind each other.
yeah,
Yeah, they,
with no sidewalk.
with no sidewalk.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that covers the new capital projects in roads and bridges. Then what I did was I pulled up some of the multi-year recurring capital projects. The first one being road resurfacing. They were looking to secure, oops.
16.
There we go. Sorry, the little bar at the bottom wouldn't disappear and I couldn't read my spreadsheet. Sorry. So they were requesting 16.9. The budget had them in for about $14.2 million every year.
Active plan.
That cuts
Active plan.
2.745.
Yeah,
Road reconstruction, same thing. They were requesting 13.6. We brought them back to plan, which basically impacts fiscal year 25. They kept their out years to plan. And I feel like some of these smaller ones, like this masonry, I feel like there was something very specific because it's $75,000 that they needed. So I did want to put it on there for recurring, but it sounds like they had a very specific project that needed that funding to complete it for fiscal year 25.
I would keep masonry and add that 75 back in to make sure that that gets done, whatever that is that they want to do that year.
that's what she did, yeah.
This sidewalk bike fund is just to remind me that there's a grant. Transportation facility planning, it looks like they asked for a little more money in fiscal year 25. It was brought back to plan of 300,000. They did keep their out years at plan, so it looks like this year they just wanted a little more funding. Let me see if I have any notes on that one.
But didn't you just say you brought it back to plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so for the multi-year recurring capital projects, they bring everything back to plan. Mhm.
Right, okay.
So we're good with that?
Yep.
Okay. ADA row compliance. This is another one. I think that there was something very specific tied to it. They were looking for 1.6, plan is 1.15. Their out years are back to plan, but I don't know, David, if you recall what was in ADA row compliance that caused the strange amount. It's like 485, so it sounds very specific in my mind, but
Sorry, it's basically a percentage related to the overall road reconstruction costs. So they applied that percentage increase to all of the projects that are associated with the road reconstruction, because all of these come into play. Doing the ADA ramps, doing the curb work and everything
Okay,
when they're doing the
okay.
roads.
What do you think? Back to plan? I suggest back to plan,
Plan,
board.
agree.
Back to plan.
Back to
Plan.
Okay. What am I doing here? Safe routes to transit. Oh, okay, this is the one. They needed additional funding because the funding that they received last year wasn't sufficient to complete a particular, I want to say like a child project. And there is grant funding tied to it, so there is a reduction. So it looks like oh, it's a decrease. Is that right? 395 minus 140. It is. Oh, that's a reduction. We'll keep that one.
Yeah, really. So, okay, going along those same lines. Hold on. No, I'm good. Sorry. The other one's a reduction too. Okay.
Okay. So that concludes roads and bridges. The next one is the traffic control class. And again, these are multi-year recurring capital projects. For guardrails, it looked like they wanted $220,000 approximately. It was brought back to plan for 125. And that's the same for traffic signals. It was brought back to plan. And new traffic signals brought back to plan. The out years, they kept it planned, so we don't need to worry about that. It's just the fiscal year 25 increases, like 92,000 here, 100 here, and 75,000 here.
What page are you on?
Or traffic control starts on 83 of the overview and 217 of the one pager.
Got it. Thank you. So you're suggesting bringing it back to plan?
That's just the methodology I use to start with. It's really your recommendation if you want to
Okay.
give them their request or not.
I say back to plan.
Back to plan on those three.
Okay. The last new capital project is dredging, but I added it back because it's got a significant amount of state funding tied to it. So, and the last multi-year recurring that we have not covered is safe routes to schools. They had requested $750,000 in fiscal year 25. It was brought back to plan, and I don't recall if that was associated with a specific project or not.
Now, that's a program increase because of the overall safe routes to school studies that we've been doing that were mentioned earlier.
Oh, okay.
Where do we see
Want to give
that?
them their full request or go back to plan for fiscal year 25. It's $250,000.
Oh, thank you.
It's page 254 on the one pager, sorry.
I struggle with this a little bit because if they're asking for a specific amount, I mean, it is associated with the improvements as David's indicated, and it's probably for something specific.
But we didn't keep, didn't we just bring that back?
Well, we brought all of them back to plan.
Design, construction, pedestrian.
Safe routes to school.
State access.
So, Naomi, on page 80, safe routes to transit. And then safe route to schools. We're talking about safe routes to transit, meaning transportation, public transportation, right?
Yes, yes.
Separately, then, okay, safe routes to school.
Yeah, all of the safe routes to school projects are identified by the Board of Education to give to us to try to get those constructed.
So it's essentially a Board of Education request.
Right, okay.
Does it help at all to
This is where I,
to provide 25 as requested, and this is a bigger question than just this one, but obviously the safe routes to schools. To provide for 2025, but then lessen it in the forward years, is that help our departments get what they need, because these are things that the citizens really,
So
Talk
give
about a
them
lot.
the 750 and 25 and take 26 through 30 to 450.
is that's,
Gives them what they need in 25.
Yeah.
Right, which is what they're asking for, really.
You wanna do that? That's a.
that's fine, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
This is the one where I really think the new homes near those new schools need to provide safe routes to schools.
Now, who builds that into that discussion? Is that
Well, it's supposed to
It's
be
the
paid for
impact
by
fees.
the impact.
by these fees?
right, something, that's supposed to be.
Or build them themselves, not even
I
the
was gonna
impact
say, so
fees.
who
There.
started
Make
that
it part of-
conversation?
make it
That
part of the
that
design.
Right. Who-
That's long-term development. Or the development.
Now, do we wanna go back, just to ask? You wanna go back to some, like the one that was $75,000, like, what's not gonna get done if we don't provide $75,000?
Really? What's going to happen?
I don't know. Can they find it somewhere else? Is it something they just, need that little, it's like.
That,
Yeah, the
relatively-
new traffic signals, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why?
These are all fairly. Shall I look at the affordability total where we are?
Sure.
We are at about $34.6 million over.
$10 million out zero? Or zero out there?
No, zero's not our zero.
Yeah, what is our,
What's out
what is
there?
our zero?
Naomi, what is 1%?
We are 2.5% over, so probably
Yeah,
around
we're-
10 to 15 million.
10 to 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Do we want to start back up at the top just to go through the new capital projects one more time, and because that pretty much covers all of the classes in the general fund.
Okay,
Okay. Okay, county system septic and assessment, that was for 134,000. That
Yeah,
was,
keep
that's
that.
in the budget.
Septic stays.
Keep it.
Yeah, I know, right? Glen Burnie Plaza redevelopment, this is the one that had grant funding associated with it. It's about $1 million.
keep it.
Mhm.
The cardiac catheterization labs,
days.
$1 million contribution.
Yes,
The heart stays.
The multicultural center, that was removed. I think there was some conversation about the state funding and whether, excuse me, that would come to fruition.
Right,
Right.
yeah, I think we can wait on that. That's kind of a nice to have,
that
but
was
not
nice.
nearly needed like these other things.
We deleted, right, because we deleted.
Naomi, can you put a note on that multicultural that our question is the expectation of state funding?
And location.
And where's it gonna be?
We don't have a
There's no
location.
location on it.
And we really don't know what it is.
A lot of.
Is
asked
it-
About it, right?
What makes it multicultural and center?
I'm assuming that will be close to what they did with the Severance Center, recently over in the city area. It's a multicultural center, they have more than a girls club there, they got. I'm assuming that they need.
It also seems to me that if the state did come in with a grant, they'd come back to us and say, we really do want that 500,000 because we really are gonna get that money. So,
Right, that could always be, you know, an amendment to the proposed budget at the end, once we have more information on whether
Right.
that's coming in or not, yeah.
okay.
All right, so that's the general county class. Public safety. So we removed the public safety radio systems upgrade. We brought back that back to plan. That was an existing capital project. And then the new Northern District Police Station. We added the out year funding for construction. Okay, moving on to recreation and parks, starting with the new. This year, Davidsonville Rec Center was removed. But it sounded like perhaps come back next year. Edgewater Rec improvements, you said yes to this one, so it's added back. Marley Creek Regional Park, high need, so phase one was, this is phase one. It was added back, yes. South River Farm Park improvements, that was removed. And then, of course, the swim center was removed. That covers rec and parks. Okay, moving on to roads and bridges. Gambrels was added back. The Brooklyn Park mobility improvement was added back. The Forest Drive safety improvements, only fiscal year 25 was added back. Stevenson, fiscal year 25 and 26 were added back, but 27 was cut. And transit studies was cut. So that covers the new projects in roads and bridges. We have our recurring capital projects here. And then, of course, traffic control did not have any new capital projects in it. Those were brought back to plan. Dredging was added back. There's a tremendous amount of state funding tied to that project. Safe routes to schools, we gave the full ask in fiscal year 25, but reduced the out years. Moving on to, Board of Education, just a recap on, okay, here we go. Sustainability initiatives. You provided fiscal year 25, but cut the out years. That was their number 9. The next one is Board of Education, Project and Planning. That was removed.
I don't think we.
Board of Education starts on, I think, 256 of the one pager. Then these are the recurring capital projects. Okay, schools. The school bus facility lot was added back for 10.5. Ruth Parker Eason was removed. I know there's some conversation about revisiting the school bus facility lot, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then, of course, West County was removed and Northeast area was removed. And that was because of the redistricting that was very effective.
And you brought back the others to plan. Like vehicle replacement, athletic stadium,
Yes, so
driveway.
athletic stadium, you know, additions has IAC, but you know, like vehicle replacement, that was brought back to plan. Upgrade various schools. We gave them fiscal year 25 ask. That's one of the ones that we look at every year.
I want to add, as I read about the school bus facility lot, it does say it's required to meet the mandate Climate Solutions Now Act of 2022.
Mhm.
So. And we've left it in there and. Probably do want to maintain that.
And they have
Renovation.
a property now. Wasn't that the one David said that they actually,
They
do have a
because the
property?
Current facilities have exceeded their useful life, so, yeah.
okay,
For the school bus facility, what David told us, that a site was identified and a purchase agreement is in the works, making it a
Great.
timely
Okay.
situation for the fiscal year 25 feasibility.
Good. That answers my question. Thank you.
It might
And then-
not. We
Oh,
could,
sorry.
why don't you take the sustainability down to 1 million?
I'm sorry, what was that?
You could take sustainability down to 1 million. We got
Okay,
the 2 million for this year. We can take another million out. Okay.
Yeah, the bus renovation,
The
the
bus is more,
sustainability.
yes, it is very,
It's all
yeah,
about-
we'll take what we can
In
get here.
compliance with Climate Solutions Act.
wait, are you saying the school bus facility to 1 million or?
No, 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 no.
sustainability in
The
this?
very first-
sustainability, it's a new capital project.
Got it, okay.
I'm not quite ready to let completely
Right,
go of
right.
it.
There's a lot of other sustainability built into so many other programs though, like
It's true. It's,
safe walking and sidewalks.
Yeah.
and I think it's also an area for grants. So,
Naomi, can you remind me, typically after, these early deliberations, what percent over affordability do we end conversations at? Do you remember?
I think 1 year, and that was when Mr. Pesterfield was chair. I think it was like 2 to 3%.
Thank you.
I think last year we were under affordability. But I think it's usually like 10 to 20 million.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've tried to keep it under 2%.
And, again, this is like kind of the preliminary deliberations portion of it. We could, go through it again, or we could hold off until when is it, mid-March, the final deliberations, and tackle that issue. Maybe there's more information that comes forth. Those are just options.
And you did already say that Huja found $10 million.
that's in there already.
That's
Yep.
already in there, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, moving forward, what else?
Okay, so let's just cover. Okay, so we cut the HCAT. We gave them the math building renovation, but that was in fiscal year 30. I mean, we could remove that and just have them come back next year.
Come back next year.
Is that the one, which building did they say that they didn't want to let sit empty?
Let me see.
Which I appreciate, but it's also.
Renovate the entire math building, creating better faculty and instructional space for students, faculty, and staff that utilizes the building. So it's just a renovation of the math building. I mean, given that it's fiscal year 30.
Yeah, a lot of things will change between now and 30. So let's take that out for now. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
And what did we do? What page were we on?
So
This was on-
community college starts on page, let's see here. 301 of the one pager report.
So the
or
highlighter.
94 of the highlighter.
Thank you. So.
So the community college is in the middle of the Dragoon renovation and addition. And that's a big,
Yeah.
that's a big number. That's $57 million.
Yes, that does have 50% state funding tied to it. I believe last year it was higher and they redid the scope and removed the addition.
Yep, yep.
So this was the reduced number. Just wanted to disclose that. So the county impact is $28.8 million.
So Naomi, we're gonna take out the math building for now, right?
Mhm.
308.
Yes.
Okay, and the HCAT relocation, what do we do with that?
So we pushed that all the way out to 30.
We funded the,
So they wanted to
this-
start the project in 28. And in this scenario, the project's actually going to start in 2030.
Okay.
What if we took the campus improvements down to 600?
Is that a yes?
There was no comment.
I know, I'm like, that sounds like a yes.
Like to do this. I mean, this is not, right, this is not fun.
But this would give them the funding for the careers roof renovation. Just so you know. They did request an additional 2.25 million to address that issue.
Okay.
So for fiscal year 25, they would, they would get 2.85 million, the bulk of that for the roof repair.
Okay.
okay.
For the Student Services Center renovation, we just brought it back to plan.
Yeah.
Tech fiber infrastructure, we just gave them their fiscal year 25 ask.
Delete
And the last one was the library,
boy.
which we cut the restroom. The Deal Library Edition, we were going to revisit that. That was adding almost like a community room space. I think it was a 4,000 square foot expansion, although I think I don't know that they referred to it specifically as a community room space, but
No, just a addition.
yeah. And that was an addition. This is $4 million.
I think that was one that had the infrastructure or electrical.
Electrical, right.
It wasn't like just a box.
I don't know, David, if this would be an option, but is it possible to price that out for the electrical repairs and not include the addition? Or I'm not sure what the scope of the work for that one is specifically.
Yeah, I mean, that would be.
You know,
Interesting to see.
Sorry.
I would be hesitant to try to break it out that way.
Okay, fair enough.
Does it help to push it out a year? No.
it doesn't really help.
Doesn't really.
It doesn't
Yeah.
help us.
Right.
No. Because 27 is
Yeah.
worse.
Right.
I mean, this is a new capital project. It could be removed due to affordability and bring it forward again next year.
All right, take it out.
That's one option. Sorry, we really are getting to the the difficult point here.
Can we keep the design
The
in it?
design
Has
takes,
there
right.
been any design work? Can we keep the 477,000 in?
Let me just check something here.
Can I? What about the
Um,
Brooklyn Library?
Could we move that to library project planning, David? Or
You,
Would
you
we-
mean take out the new project request and put the 477 as an additional project planning study?
yeah, is that something that,
Yeah, we've done that in a couple other
okay,
occasions.
so that the project would still in some levels continue to move forward, but it's not 100% commitment to the actual project at that juncture.
Another question that was brought up. The Brooklyn Park Library elevator is a $3 million project. And this Deal Library Edition is a $3.9 million project. Maybe we could ask Skip Old and Company which one they would prefer. Give us a priority, because maybe we can't fund both of them. Was that your?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you right now, an elevator sounds
More
more
important than
important
an
than
addition.
addition.
I recall that elevator is to access the restrooms and community room that I think are on a different floor.
Yeah.
That back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And they were improving staff space by doing it as well.
I remember that.
Kind of getting more than just.
Just an elevator, right? I remember that. They were improving
And we
staff
talked
space.
about.
How about, electrical contracting donation for services?
Deal.
If we rename the library. Oh, gosh.
We're gonna start selling the rights to library names.
Right.
There you go.
I think we already have some.
This is tough.
So the power infrastructure right now doesn't meet the current demand of the Deal Library, is that correct?
That's what
Correct.
the one pager said.
Yeah, the,
Let me read it here. Yeah, it says here, the building does not have appropriate power infrastructure
to meet demand.
demands currently.
And that's growing. And that is a need. I mean, that's, what, isn't that
Jeez.
for our plan 2040? The Deal area was definitely a need.
Yeah,
For
it was.
services. I think it was that area in Brooklyn. The north part
Under
too,
service.
are under service, yep. Can we tie that into, I was just gonna say, can we tie that into the Wi-Fi update, Wi-Fi upgrades? Oh,
We
So-
could start to go through the capital projects that are already in the pipeline and had increases.
can I ask a question about hot socks? Did we? Maybe before we kind of go through that, I have two specific projects that are on my mind.
Oh, sure.
The and this actually is kind of where you're going. I just want to kind of jump into the hot socks, given maybe we can get an update on where that entire park improvement is in its phase.
Okay, so hot
I
socks
know,
and rec and parks.
yes, that's Rec and Parks, and it's got the Wilson Historic Home.
Right, that's on
Yeah,
page
the-
103. And I would defer to David on status.
Yeah, the park improvements themselves are complete. What we're doing now is, working on the design and, permitting for the actual, improvements to the Wilson House. And then FY 25 would be the construction of those improvements.
So, I went by there last weekend. And as we look at, and this is coming from the architect who is extremely passionate about historic preservation. I'm wondering about the construction. How much is the construction on that one?
About 700.
6 million.
The total project is 4.3,
Yeah.
but fiscal year 25 is about 7,800,000.
So they've already funded the design. I'm just wondering if we hold back on some of the construction on that. And when I went by, I mean, that is, first of all, that's gonna take more than $700,000. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's really just a shell of a wood building that's,
Yeah,
It-
they're actually proposing some. I always hate to use the word innovative, but different type of construction improvements. So that you know, it's not like because we can't just take the old building down. So they're actually looking to kind of make the front a more of a display type facility rather than a house. With a
okay,
closed wall. And this was a recent cost estimate we got that led us to this number. So I probably can't describe all of the details of that, but they are trying to be very sensitive to both the historic nature of that and the past users of the area.
okay, that's good. That's good to hear that a little bit more context with that, because it's really. Full restoration would be a whole bunch more than that.
Yes, right, yeah, and that I believe there was probably even a determination once that we wouldn't be allowed to do that as a historic building. Yeah.
All right, well. I guess my other question, I hate to do this, but to go back to Edgewater, can you talk about where the 11 million number came from? And is there any opportunity to phase that? So that, as
Well,
you know, as a new capital project for Rec and Parks.
the issue with that, there are certainly opportunities to phase it if we needed to for dollar amounts. But the issue there is that for this building and for the use that people are anxious to see happen there, the Rec and Parks is looking to try to open it in by December of 25.
Okay.
And in order to do that, yeah, we need the funding all in 25.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
I did find two multi-year capital projects I did not bring back to plan. So I'm just entering them in now. This is really good. It's a significant one too.
So going to Western Park, page 72. What about northwest area park improvement? That's a huge overrun as well.
The 4 million.
Yeah,
The
that-
Northwest area park improvement?
yeah.
That's fully funded by video lottery impact data funds.
Doesn't help.
So
That doesn't help us.
Doesn't help
don't-
us.
Well,
Fully funded.
why can't we take
Keep
out
going.
4?
Let's
Keep
get
going.
here.
Okay.
Naomi, when you finish there, we have a question.
Okay, yes.
That's where her changes are.
And I know this deals with the video lottery money.
Mhm.
Project 56-5100, Northwest Area Park Improvements.
Yes, so what happens is the department presents the request to the LDC, and then the LDC, I believe it's by mid-March, April 1st, provides a list of what they're willing to fund. And my understanding is that they only do projects that get funded. So that number might change, it might go down, but that's 100% VLT funding. That does not affect affordability, and it would not benefit us in this particular exercise.
Okay.
What about Beverly Triton? That's 4 million.
Oh, is that the one with the
s-
shoreline where we're
Yeah,
losing?
that's shoreline erosion. Which was it?
4 million.
Did you
Yeah.
want to show us the county?
Sure.
You said, let me make. Let's
We
look
are
the
at,
2%.
26 million. We're at 2%.
We could just call.
We could pause right now with 2, make that our 0.
I'm comfortable with that.
I'm okay with that.
I think we're positioned very well for where we are in the process. I think that's pretty
So it's
good.
come back a few weeks later and.
Right.
It'll circle
Revisit it
back.
2 weeks from now. Yeah, we've been at 2% before, and it's always seems like we can send it to council with that, and then they can find a.
And at that particular time, we'll have more information on impact fees. Although impact fee revenues have declined significantly, you never know. We might be able to get something out of that process too.
Mhm. Is there any other projects that anybody wants to discuss? What we cut that we need to revisit?
We went back to the ones that we had said, let's go back to.
We did, we went back through
We
them.
went back, okay. I just want to make sure because I wasn't making a list. Make sure that we.
One
did that.
question I
Oh,
did
where's the
have,
fire department?
the fire training
The
facility.
fire, yeah, we were
Oh.
talking.
What is 9,500 should hold?
Fire
There was a
training
huge
facility.
jump.
Our question was, it was funded for 25, 26, 27, and then no funding, and then jumped back to an $8 million cost. Maybe David can give us an explanation on that.
Was this the fire training facility?
Yes.
Still
Yeah.
have to remind myself to unmute. The 26 funding is proposed to, for extension or construction of utility services to the site in connection with the joint 911 center that will be at the site also. The 27 amount is the beginning of the design. And it's anticipated that that's going to be a significantly long process. And so in FY30, what we've got shown is the site remediation costs that will be necessary to make the site ready so that we can start construction of the full facility, hopefully in 31.
Do we have an anticipated cost in 31, what that ask is going to be?
Yeah, we do, but I'm hesitant to say it because it'll probably still be phased some more. And at this point, it's just a guess. It's not really based on much at all.
So could we do anything differently for 28 and 29? Design,
Well-
we need all of the design funds, I'm assuming, for 27 or?
Yeah, because in order to sign a contract, I have to have all the
Right.
funds available. I mean, if you're looking to add something in 28 or 29, you could probably bring up the 30 costs to those to work on the site remediation earlier. I just don't know whether we'd actually have plan laid out for all the details of what's needed to be done that quickly.
But that probably is not gonna, will that help us, Naomi? Probably not.
I'm sorry, I was looking at my spreadsheet.
Just moving FY30 costs to FY29 or 28.
That you're not really gonna.
Okay, that's what I figured. Thank you.
And then Lawrence Blevins made a comment in the chat. Lawrence, you want to unmute? Share what you want to think, what you want to say?
Lawrence, we'd love to hear your comments, if you can unmute.
Hello, I apologize. I'm also working on it, but H590500 and H58400. I believe those are two park ones that I believe may be able to hold and save around a few million to put on the other side and then come back to them.
Okay, let's take one at a time.
Say one of the numbers again, please.
H.
H Harry 590500.
59.
So that's a BWI trail.
Mhm. State funding.
Just so you know, there's about $5.1 million in impact fees and about $10.4 million of state funding.
Yeah, yeah. What was the other number?
$10.4 million in state funding total.
Yeah, I think that one should stay. But what was the other one, Lawrence, that you want us to look at?
It was H58400. I think it's 59400.
Yeah, that's the Solly Road shared use path. Yeah, H584000.
And that's 100% impact fees.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're already,
I know.
Good try.
I, on the county facilities, I'm trying to remember back if we, I'm not helping our situation here, but
Okay.
on the county facilities for the 11-9, that was specific equipment, right, for the, actually, let me.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I wonder if we shift and give them that in 25, but go down $1 million for the rest of the years.
So for
That's just-
fiscal year 25, give them the 11,920.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up to remind us what
I
it
don't-
was.
Let me just check my notes here. Maybe I have something.
780.
I don't have any comments on that one.
For county facilities and systems upgrades, you were
Yeah.
wondering what the funding's going to?
Yeah, because they obviously have something specific they raised up for next year or for 25.
I'm not sure if this is one of what they refer to as their bread and butter general ones, but on their slides, it's going to a number of, facility updates. So on their slides, it shows, Heritage Office Complex where you're currently sitting. Third and fourth floor renovations, Arundel Center North HVAC, countywide boiler system replacements. I think it just might be that there's,
A backlog, a
Yeah.
significant backlog. This is definitely one of the capital projects that we touched last in the process. So if there's extra money or a little money, we always put it in like park reno, facility repair, road reconstruction, because it's, it's infrastructure, and it's important to maintain the county's assets. So, yeah,
What do you,
right now it's all back to plan.
plan.
So, yeah, if you wanted to give maybe a little more than 6.5 million, you could do so.
That doesn't help us.
Yeah, that, yeah, let me just see where we are.
yeah, I think it recognizes, as you said, we need to.
Like I said, I think we're positioned pretty well. We've done a good chunk. I mean, we've really done the bulk of the work. Who knows, maybe Huja will find a few, a little more PAYGO revenue and the world will be perfect and we'll get impact fees and, it's just between now and the next time you all get together, a lot of information comes in at this time, so.
Yep, okay.
so then before Naomi leaves, we had floated around the idea of meeting on a regularly scheduled Wednesday of March 13th, as there is another item potentially in the pipeline that's not budget related, but also discussing budget then. Based upon where we're sitting at this time, we might wanna push the budget conversation to our first April meeting. I don't know if that, I know in past years, we've tried to have that, this is our initial deliberation, and then we have a final one more towards April timeline. I don't know if that aligns with Naomi's thinking, or if you wanna do like another interim before we do like a final. I just don't wanna, I don't wanna mess up. I wanna meet at the appropriate time to hear back from other groups, and have Naomi's spreadsheets in order. Yeah.
So
Well, we
I
have
did,
a-
if you don't mind, I did want to disclose, it's been come to our attention that there is a supplemental request. So a legislative request has gone forward, for supplemental appropriation on a capital project. We're not prepared at this juncture to discuss it, but it is time sensitive in nature. And so we're hoping to have it go through the process and ready to be voted on by the beginning of April, mid-April. So at some point, we would like to present that to you, so you can consider recommending that request. Just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if that's what you want to do next week or whether, I don't recall what you said your April regularly scheduled meeting was.
So Jessica, are you saying we need to have a meeting on March 13th? Or we can postpone that until,
There's a group that's got a master plan working through, and so, they're not gonna know until, I think, early next week if it'll be ready for a March 13th discussion, or if it will need to be paused until a March 27th discussion. So there is a possibility we have to meet on March 13th either way, as well as March 27th. We've got a supplementary budget request that we've got to discuss at some point. And then we've got to do final budget deliberations.
can we do all of that on the 27th?
I don't know when.
Yeah, I have that either gonna be away.
I'm all the way on the 13th.
On the 27th? You're away, Dawn?
Yeah.
Naomi, how does the 27th work for your schedule? There.
I'm available anytime, so.
Overall, capital budget and pro schedule of, is it okay for the PAB to have its meeting on the 27th versus the 13th? Of
Yeah,
March?
From the supplemental appropriation standpoint, I would prefer the 13th because we could kind of nest that into that date, but.
Okay.
So if we have one on the 13th, then can we, at that point, then do one April 10th?
Yeah, so I have, that master plan that's in the works, that's tentatively for March 13th. The supplementary budget transfer for March 13th and final budget deliberations. We could always meet again if necessary. Like if there's more information that comes out that needs to be reviewed by you guys. And then March 27th, we once again meet for that tentative, master plan that's in the works. Even if it's introduced on the 13th, we'd want to deliberate on the 27th. And then, yeah, if we're already meeting on the 27th, Office of Planning and Zoning was thinking of reviewing the rules and procedures that the Planning Advisory Board follows. So, we could, come up with some draft revisions and send that out to you guys for review, and we could deliberate on that at a meeting and add in any PAB recommendations.
It's been about 5 years since those
So
rules.
that's on the 27th,
Yeah,
or
so
what if we move the 27th to the 3rd?
Can't do it.
And do it, or the 10th?
we could, depending upon the timeline for that, the group that has that master plan in the works, that could potentially work.
What's April 10th look like for everybody?
Do the 10th.
I'm over the 10th. I have a conflict on the 13th. Can show up a little late.
And I'm good on the 13th, so we cover.
You're good on the 13th,
Yeah.
so, but potentially March 13th for master plan and budget. And then come back on the 10th to final the master plan and do the rules revisions for PAB.
We can discuss with that, the group that's gonna bring the master plan forward to make sure that that 10th meets their timeline. But yeah,
Do we have any comprehensive rezoning stuff coming up in that time.
What a coincidence.
So that'll be coming to you in the fall, we can,
In the fall for the next,
For 3 and
for
9.
1, 3, and 9. which is-
okay, the next one.
So while you guys, is that what are we supposed to be doing? So while you guys have your calendars up, I'd like to request that you, save the following dates on your calendar. Some of them aren't like our regular Wednesdays. You know, we thought this timeline through because, you guys were fairly rushed and crammed this past fall when we reviewed the 3 region plans. So taking that into consideration, we tried to spread some stuff out. So starting September 18th. We would tentatively have a planning advisory board meeting.
The idea there would be, so for the regions 2, 4, and 7, we kind of, we met in pretty quick succession. You're kind of like back-to-back nights of public hearings, and then a couple weeks later, back-to-back night or days of your deliberations. So we're trying to see if we can build our schedule to spread that out. This is kind of, it's over for your, you're the ones who are dedicating all this time to it too, so let us know if this does or doesn't work for you. But I thought is that we begin on September 18th, and we kind of give a briefing, so the staff just kind of updating you, background information about where the status plans are, kind of reviewing key information. And then we have the public hearings on September 25, then October 2, and October 9. We can email you these dates too. So kind of try to spread those out a little more. And then we come back a couple weeks later, November 6, 13, and 20 for the deliberations. So last time we did kind of 2 of the regions in one day for deliberations, and then did another one immediately next day. So it's kind of 2 very long intense days. The idea here is let's spread it out. Keep it more like a week.
So are you expecting on September 25th, October 2nd, and October 9th, those meetings be at a location in the
Yeah, we do that again.
region?
We travel to the region, get as big of a space as we can get, so we've got lots of room for people to come in. Because I expect to be a similar situation, you'll have, 50, 100 people come. We want to be able to provide
And
comment.
then the November meeting, 6th, 13th, and 20th
We're here.
are here.
And then there's, one final date, December 4th. So, you guys recall that at the public hearings, a lot of folks come forward, they tell us their thoughts on the plan, their thoughts on the map. And sometimes folks come forward and they say, I missed the initial, application period, but I'd like you to consider my property for a different zoning than what's recommended. So the December 4th would be, if any cases like that come forward, we wanted to give you time to review and deliberate on them.
And are all these dates you're talking about in the evenings?
Yes, it would be Wednesday evenings, so. There is some flexibility though, if you'd like to discuss potentially even Friday days again, I don't know.
Evenings is preferable, a little bit better.
I think evenings are better for.
Yeah, I mean, we chunks it out, days, yeah, it's a bit tough. On the 2nd, I may not be able to come, but I could watch a video. That's because I have my staff meeting that Sunday through Wednesday morning.
So if we meet on the 13th, I don't really want to meet on the 27th again. And then the 10th. I'd rather do the 13th of March and then April 10th.
Understood.
Yeah, we'll bring that back. The opposite, the plan we going forward is the Office of Transportation and the Transit Development Plan, which is kind of the county's bus and transit plan. It's currently out for public review. We're looking forward to the link so you can, when you get an early look at it. I expect it won't change dramatically, between now and then. And I'll check with them to see if they've already, trying to program out for when they bring it to council, all that schedule needs to work out.
Work backwards.
Yeah.
So Jessica, see if you can make that work and then send out a notice on that regarding what we've decided.
Yep.
With that said, we're getting ready to break now, but we may, we may adjourn. At 1:45, we had administrative update from the Office of Planning and Zoning. Did we just do
Just
that?
did that.
Okay, so we have amended our agenda and our update has occurred at from 12 o'clock to 12:10, and that's finished. Is there any other additional information that any other board members present or online would like to discuss? Any comments? So with that, we are going to complete our review of the budget right now. Naomi, thank you very much. We'll see you back again at April the 10th.
I thought it was March
I
13th.
mean, March
13th.
13th.
Don't scare me.
So,
Okay, great. Yes, I will see you then.
okay,
And you'll be able to do the supplemental request.
Yes,
Is that good for you?
yes, that
You
works.
wanted that, right? Okay.
Correct. Mhm.
and with that, I would also like to state that if any of the departments that have watched this deliberation, if you have specific comments and suggestions that you would really like us to talk about on March the 13th, please send them to Jessica so we can look at that maybe prior to our meeting. Because we may need more information on a specific project. Anything else? Okay, with that, I'd like a motion.
I motion to adjourn after I thank everyone, the staff, especially for all the hard work and putting this in there. And Naomi, once again, you get kudos, endless. Each year you make it easier on us and we greatly appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Motion's been made to adjourn and it's been second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this meeting is over.